Becoming an F1 World Champion is arguably the crown of motorsports. These drivers have gotten as close as possible to becoming World Champion without actually becoming one. Whether it is one DNF away, a race win away, or even just a single point away, these drivers simply didn't have the luck necessary to become World Champion. But they still all had remarkable careers nevertheless. David Coulthard. Over a 15-year career, Coulthard won 13 races and 247 entries. Add 62 podiums on top of that and you have the driver with the 19th most career points. Coulthard had to face the likes of Michael Schumacher, Damon Hill and Mika Häkkinen during his prime, making the likelihood of him becoming world champion rather slim. Despite all of this, on his day, DC could beat anyone and became an iconic driver of the late 90s and early 2000s. His career started on a somber note, as he was the driver, alongside Nigel Mansell, to replace Senna following his death at Williams. In his first full season at Williams in '95, he earned his first win at the Portuguese GP and finished the season in third place of the championship. In total, Coulthard would finish third in the Drivers' Championship on 4 different occasions. After 1995, DC moved to McLaren, where he would become the team's number 2 driver behind Mika Häkkinen during the Finns Championship years in '98 and '99. He became the team's number 1 driver from 2001 until 2003, when another Finn driver took over at McLaren, a certain Kimi Raikkonen. DC's greatest season was without a doubt 2001, where he finished in second place of the Drivers' Championship behind Michael Schumacher, although Coulthard had 58 less points than the German. In 2005, Coulthard joined the new Red Bull team and took the first podium in the team's history at the 2006 Monaco GP, before retiring in 2008. I've talked about his rather unsuccessful last race in another video, for which you can find a link in the description below, and it should also pop up in the top right corner. These days, when he's not showing off his ass on social media, Coulthard is working for Channel 4's F1 coverage. Jackie Ickx. Belgium-born Jackie Ickx's talent was undeniable. In his 2-decade-long racing career, he won the Bathurst 1000, Can-Am Championship, Dakar Rally, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans on several occasions. The one championship that eluded him, however, was Formula 1. Ickx won 8 of his 116 starts to go with 13 pole positions. He finished second in the championship twice, 26 points behind Jackie Stewart in 1969 and 5 points behind Johan Rindt in 1970. Rindt became the sport's only posthumous champion as the Austrian died in a fatal crash at the Italian GP, with 3 races to go in the championship. From 1973, Ickx's F1 career declined due to the very uncompetitive cars he had, while he gradually focused on other categories, especially endurance. Nonetheless, his skill behind the wheel was evident every time he got in an F1 car, and L'Enfant Terrible is widely remembered as Belgium's greatest ever F1 driver and one of the greatest drivers in the 60s and 70s. Gilles Villeneuve. Gilles Villeneuve made his F1 debut in 1977 at McLaren after famously beating James Hunt in a North American Formula Atlantic race. Although, shockingly, despite showing off his talent, McLaren didn't renew him for the 1978 season, and Ferrari took the opportunity to snap him up. The first Canadian to win a World Championship race, he did so at his home race in 1978. The following year, Villeneuve battled his Ferrari teammate Jody Scheckter closely throughout the season. Both drivers won 3 times, but Scheckter was a more consistent point scorer and won the title by 4 points. Despite rarely having a competitive car thereafter, he continued to impress, beating the odds to win 2 further races in 1981, in Monaco and Spain. After Scheckter left the team in 1981, Villeneuve became the team's leader. For 1982, the car was improved, and after retirements in the first 2 races, Villeneuve finished third at the US Grand Prix West, although he was disqualified for an illegal rear wing, and second at Imola. In that race, his teammate, Didier Pironi, passed him on the final lap to take the victory against team orders. The incident is similar to what happened between Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel at the 2013 Malaysian GP. Villeneuve was so livid that he declared he would never speak to the Frenchman again. Sadly, that proved to be true, as Villeneuve was killed during qualifying for the next race, in Belgium, cutting a career with such potential short. If you've never seen him race, do yourself a favor, go and watch his highlights on YouTube, just to see how much he pushed the car to the limit. He won 6 of his 168 race entries and finished on the podium 13 times, although the numbers don't do him justice, and he is rightly remembered as one of the greatest drivers ever, with a Canadian GP at the Gilles Villeneuve circuit honoring his legacy. Ronnie Peterson. Nicknamed the Super Swede, Peterson is Sweden's most successful Formula 1 driver. In 9 seasons, he won 10 of his 123 races, finishing runner-up in the championship twice. One of the best drivers of the 70s, he was admired by his competitors, such as Jackie Stewart or Gilles Villeneuve. He even inspired George Harrison, a member of the Beatles, to compose the song Faster.
Bullet from a gun, he is faster than everyone.
His debut was at the 1970 Monaco GP, where he finished 7th. The following year, he got his first podium in Monaco and finished 2nd in the Drivers' Championship, although he only had 33 points, whereas champion Jackie Stewart had 62 points. In 1973, by then with Lotus, Peterson won 4 races, but was only 3rd in the driver's standings due to reliability issues. 1975, 1976, and 1977 were not good years for him, as he didn't have very competitive cars. In 1978, he returned to Lotus, led by Mario Andretti, who was the first driver, and they finished 1st and 2nd in the championship. Peterson died that season due to a crash in the Italian GP, in which 11 out of the 24 cars were involved. Had he not passed, his talent would surely have helped him win at least one world title. So Stirling Moss. During his career, Moss accumulated 16 wins in just 66 races, which to this day is more than anyone else to have never won a championship. He finished runner-up in the Drivers' Championship 4 times, which is a record, and he also finished 3rd on 3 occasions. The closest he came to winning the title was in 1958, when he lost to Mike Hawthorne by just 1 point. At the Moroccan GP, the final race of the season, Moss needed to win with the fastest lap and hope Hawthorne would not finish higher than 3rd. Moss did his part, winning by nearly a minute and a half, while Hawthorne edged Phil Hill by less than 1 second for 2nd place, clinching the championship. But that doesn't tell the whole story. Moss was one of those priceless drivers who could outperform the machinery. He cites his win in the 1961 Monaco GP, during which he held off 3 hard-charging and superior Ferrari 156 in his uncompetitive Lotus 18 as his greatest ever. If you haven't seen it, watch it. In his last 3 years in F1, he was 3rd in each of them, as he was a very regular, fast and reckless driver. He retired from motor racing in 1962 after an accident at the Goodwin circuit, which left him in a coma for 7 months with the left side of his body paralyzed. Stirling Moss is undoubtedly one of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport. Let me know in the comments below who you think is the greatest driver to never win the title, or who did I miss out during this video, as there are so many great drivers I haven't mentioned, such as Carlos Reutemann, Rubens Barrichello, or even Felipe Massa. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like below and subscribe to my channel for similar videos in the future.